Maya Chen stood at the arrival's gate of Station Harmonia 7 and tried to make herself smaller. It was a habit she had developed back on Earth when you were a human in a galaxy that feared your kind. You learned to take up less space. The station was beautiful. Crystal walkways floated above gardens filled with plants. From 100 different worlds, the air smelled like flowers and something sweet she could not name. Beings of every shape and size moved through the halls. Some walked on legs, some floated, some slithered. All of them looked at Maya and then quickly looked away. She was used to that too. A small drone floated up to her face. It scanned her with a blue light and then spoke in a cheerful voice. Human student Maya Chen, welcome to the Galactic Unity Academy. You are the first of your species to attend. Please follow the guide lights to your assigned quarters. Your roommate is waiting. The drone flew away before Maya could ask any questions. She picked up her single bag and followed the glowing lights on the floor. The academy was the most famous school in the galaxy. Here, young beings from across known space learned to become diplomats, peacekeepers, and leaders. Getting accepted was nearly impossible. Getting accepted as a human was supposed to be actually impossible, but someone on the Galactic Council had decided to run experiment. They wanted to see if humans could be civilized. They had searched for months to find the right candidate. They needed a human who was calm, quiet, not threatening. They had chosen Maya. She was 17 years old. She was small for a human, barely reaching the shoulder of most adults. She had spent her whole life being careful, being gentle, being the kind of human that did not scare people. The guide lights led her to a door marked with symbols she could not read. The door slid open and Maya stepped inside. The room was nice. 2 beds, 2 desks, a window that looked out at the stars. One side of the room was already decorated with hanging crystals that caught the light and scattered rainbows across the walls. Standing in the middle of the room was her roommate. Maya had never seen a Vel before, but she recognized the species from her studies. The being was roughly human-shaped but made entirely of living crystal. Light passed through her body, creating beautiful patterns. She was delicate and graceful and clearly terrified. Hello, Maya said softly. She did not step closer. She did not want to frighten the Velith more. I am Maya. I think we are roommates. The Vel's crystalline form vibrated slightly. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind chimes. I am called Prism. I requested a transfer when I learned what you were. They denied it. Maya nodded. She had expected this. I understand. I will stay on my side of the room. I will not touch your things. I will not bother you. If you want, we do not have to talk at all. Prism stared at her with eyes like cut diamonds. You are very small for a Deathworlder. Yes, I know. The information files say your species can run for days without stopping, that you can heal from wounds that would kill others, that your planet is a nightmare of extreme temperatures and dangerous predators, and you somehow survived long enough to reach the stars. Maya set her bag down on the empty bed. The files are mostly correct. They also say humans killed 6 billion of their own kind in wars before they even left their planet. Maya was quiet for a moment. That number always hurt to hear. That is also correct, and they put you in a room with me. Prism's voice trembled. I am made of crystal. I could shatter. I could break. One hit from a human fist and I would be dead. Maya turned to face Her roommate, she kept her hands visible. And her posture relaxed. Prism, I have never hit anyone in my life. I do not plan to start with you. I know you are scared. I know what the files say about humans, but I am not here to hurt anyone. I am here to learn, that is all. Prism did not look convinced, but she stopped vibrating quite so much. We will see. It was not friendship, but it was a start. The next morning, Mia woke early. She dressed in her academy uniform, a simple gray outfit that marked her as a first-year student. She checked herself in the mirror 3 times to make sure she looked neat and non-threatening. Then she went to find her first class. The hallways were crowded with students. Beings of every kind pushed past her, and Maya noticed how they all kept their distant. A circle of empty space surrounded her wherever she walked, like she was a disease they might catch. She found her classroom and stepped inside. The room was filled with seats designed for dozens of different body types. Maya found a human-compatible chair near the back and sat down. Other students filtered in. None of them sat near her. Then the instructor arrived. He was tall and thin, with a body like a praying mantis and eyes that reflected the light in unsettling ways. His species was called the giant. Maya remembered reading about them. They were known for their discipline and their cold logic. I'm Instructor Keith, he said. His voice was sharp and clicking. This class is called emotional regulation and diplomatic composure. Here you will learn to control your primitive instincts and behave like civilized beings. His eyes swept across the room and stopped on Maya. I see we have the human today. Good. She will serve as an excellent example. Maya felt her stomach drop. Kale walked closer to her seat. The other students leaned away as if expecting violence. The human species is fascinating from a biological perspective. Their bodies are flooded with chemicals that drive them toward aggression, adrenaline, cortisol, testosterone. They evolved on a world so harsh that their default state is readiness for combat. He leaned down until his face was close to Ma's. She could smell something like chemicals on his breath. Their hearts beat faster than most species. Their muscles are denser. Their bones are thicker. They can survive injuries that would kill Velith or Asian 10 times over. They are, in simple terms, biological weapons that somehow learn to wear clothes and pretend to be people. Maya said nothing. She kept her breathing steady. She had heard worse. Look at her, Keith said to the class. See how she sits there. Her species is very good at pretending. They smile and they talk softly and they act harmless, but underneath they are always ready to kill. It is in their nature. They cannot help it. He straightened and walked back to the front of the room. This class will teach you to control your instincts. For most of you, this will be easy. Your species evolved in gentle environments. Your ancestors did not have to fight every day to survive. He looked at Maya again. For our human guest, it will be much harder, perhaps impossible. We will see. The rest of the class was a lecture about breathing techniques and meditation. Maya took careful notes. She did not look at the other students. She did not react to the whispers she could hear. When the class finally ended, Kill called out to her, "Human, stay." The other students rushed out of the room. Maya stayed in her seat and waited. Kale approached her again. "Tomorrow you will undergo a special evaluation. The Academy wants to see if humans can truly control themselves under pressure. I will be designing the Test personally. What kind of test? My asked. You will find out tomorrow. His mandibles clicked together in what might have been a smile. I suggest you rest. Well, tonight, you will need all of your strength to stay calm. He walked out. Without another word, Maya sat alone in the empty classroom for a long time. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, from the effort of holding still, from the energy building up inside her. With nowhere to go, she thought about what her father used to tell her: anyone can throw a punch. It takes real power to hold one back. She was going to need a lot of power tomorrow. That night, Mia returned to her room to find Prism already there. The Velith was rearranging her crystals and did not look up when Maya entered. I heard about your class, Prism said. Everyone is talking about it. Good things or bad things? Mostly bad. They are saying that Instructor Cathil is going to break you tomorrow. He is famous for it. He has made students from a dozen species cry or quit or attack him. No one passes his evaluations on the first try. Maya sat on her bed. What happens if you attack him? Expulsion. Immediate. Your species gets marked as uncontrollable in the official records. So that was the game. Krill wanted her to fail. He wanted to prove that humans could not be trusted. He would push and push until she broke, and then he would use her failure as evidence against her entire species. Thank you for telling me, Maya said. Prism finally looked at her. You are not scared? Maya thought about the question. Honestly, I'm very scared, but not of him. I'm scared of proving him right. I'm scared of letting down everyone who believed a human could do this. Prism was quiet for a moment, then she said something Maya did not expect. Good luck tomorrow. It was not much, but it was something. Maya lay awake for hours that night, staring at the ceiling, practicing her breathing and trying to remember that she was strong enough to be gentle. She had to be. The whole galaxy was watching. Maya could not sleep. She lay in her bed and listened to the soft humming sound that Prism made when she rested. It was strangely peaceful, like wind moving through glass bottles. She thought about home. Earth was far away now. Millions of miles of empty space separated her from the blue and green planet where she had learned to be human. She missed the weight of real gravity. She missed the smell of rain on hot concrete. She missed her family. Most of all, she missed her father. David Chen had been a Marine for 20 years before Maya was born. He had fought into wars and seen things he never talked about, but when he came home, he put away his weapons and became the gentlest man Maya had ever known. He taught her to fight. He taught her how to throw a punch that could break bones and how to kick hard enough to crack ribs. He taught her about pressure points and joint locks and a dozen ways to put a person on the ground. Then he taught her the most important lesson of all: anyone can learn to hurt people. He said to her one night when she was 12 years old, that is easy. Violence is the simplest thing in the universe. What is hard is learning when not to fight. What is hard is being strong enough to stay gentle. Maya had not understood. Then she understood now. She remembered the day the Galactic Council observers had come to her school. They were looking for a human to send to the academy. They wanted someone calm, someone controlled, someone who would not embarrass the species. They had watched the students for weeks, taking notes, measuring reactions. Most humans failed their tests within the first few days. Someone would get angry or frustrated or scared, and the observers would mark them off the list. Then the incident happened. A boy named Marcus had been bullying Maya's younger brother. For months, James was small and quiet, and an easy target. Mia had warned Marcus to stop. He had laughed in her face. That day Marcus cornered James behind the school gymnasium. He had two friends with him. Maya saw it happening from across the field. She could have reached them in time to stop the first punch. She could have put Marcus on the ground before he ever touched her brother. Her father had trained her well. She was fast and strong, and she knew exactly where to strike. She did not fight. Instead, she ran to James and wrapped her body around his. She became a shield. Marcus and his friends hit her again and again. She felt their fists on her back and shoulders. She felt the kicks against her legs. She did not fight back. She just held her brother and waited for it to end. The teachers arrived 3 minutes later. It felt like 3 hours. The council observers had watched the whole thing. They had sensors that tracked her heart rate, her adrenaline levels, her muscle tension. They saw everything happening inside her body. They saw that she was ready to fight. Every cell in her body was screaming at her to turn around and destroy the boys who were hurting her. Her hands had curled into fists. Her teeth had clenched. Her body had prepared for war, and she had chosen not to fight. That was the day they selected her for the academy. Maya rolled over in her bed and looked at the ceiling. The memory still hurt, not because of the bruises. Those had healed in a few days. Humans healed fast. What hurt was knowing that she could have stopped it. She could have protected James without getting hurt herself, but she had made a choice. Her father had cried when she told him about it. She had never seen him cry before. "I am so proud of you," he said. "You are stronger than I ever was." Maya did not feel strong. She felt tired. She felt scared. She felt the weight of a billion humans pressing down on her shoulders. She was carrying her entire species into that evaluation tomorrow. If she failed, they would all suffer. She finally fell asleep as the station's artificial dawn began to brighten the windows. The next morning came too fast. Maya dressed in her uniform and looked at herself in the mirror. She looked like a normal girl, small and thin and harmless. Nobody looking at her would guess what she was capable of. That was probably for the best. Prism was already awake, ranging her crystals by color. She paused when Mia headed for the door. "Human." Maya stopped. "Yes, I have been reading more about your species. Files include some things that are not in the basic information. Stories about humans doing strange things." "What kind of strange things?" Prism held up a small crystal in her delicate fingers. "There's a record of a human cargo ship that received a distress signal from Miss Hin colony. The colony was under attack by raiders. The human ship was small and unarmed. Logic said they should ignore the signal and save themselves. What did they do? They flew directly into the combat zone. They loaded as many survivors as they could fit on their ship. When the raiders tried to board them, the human crew fought them with tools and fists and anything they could find. They saved over 200 giant lives. 3 humans died doing it. Maya was quiet. She had not heard this story before. The files also say that humans form bonds with other species, strong bonds. They will protect creatures they have no biological connection to. They will die for strangers. Prism set down the crystal. I do not understand this. It does not make evolutionary sense. Maya smiled a little. My father used to say that humans are too stupid to know when to quit. We care about things even when caring does not help us, we fight for people even when we cannot win. It is not logical, it is just how we are. Prism studied her with those diamond eyes. Is that why you did not fight back? When those boys attacked you, you were protecting your brother. You read my file. Everyone read your file. You are the most famous student in the academy. Maya sighed. Yes, I was protecting James. He was more important than winning. Prism was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised Mia. Again, I hope you break Instructor Keth's test, not for the humans, for you. It was the closest thing to kindness anyone had shown Maya since she arrived. She felt her throat tighten with emotion she could not afford to show, not today. Thank you, Prism. She walked out the door before the Velith could see her. Eyes getting wet, the halls were busier than usual. Word had spread about the evaluation. Students gathered in small groups, whispering and pointing as Maya walked past. She kept her head up and her pace steady. She did not let them see her fear. She found a quiet corner near a window and spent an hour practicing her breathing, in through the nose, hold for counts, out through the mouth, slow and steady. Her father had taught her this too. He said it was how he survived the worst moments of his life. Her communicator buzzed. A message from the Academy administration. Evaluation begins in 1 hour. Report to Training Hall 7. Maya read the message 3 times, then she deleted it and kept breathing. 1 hour 60 minutes, 3,600 seconds. She counted them down one by one. When the time came, she walked to Training Hall 7 with her head high and her hands steady. A crowd had gathered outside the hall, more students than she had ever seen in one place. They parted silently as she approached, creating a path to the door. She did not look at them. She could not afford distractions. The door slid open and she stepped inside. The hall was large and empty, except for a single chair in the center. The walls were lined with windows, and behind the windows she could see faces. Instructors, administrators, council, observers, they were all here to watch her fail. Instructor Keth stood beside the chair, his mandibles clicked with what might have been pleasure. Welcome. Human, please sit. Maya walked to the chair. It was made of metal, bolted to a heavy table. The table was reinforced with thick steel plates. It was designed to hold species much larger and stronger than her. She sat down and placed her hands flat on the table's surface. Rules are simple, Keel said. You will remain seated. You will remain calm. We will introduce various stress stimuli. If you stand up, you fail. If you attack anyone, you fail. If your biological readings indicate loss of control, you fail. He leaned closer. Do you understand? Maya looked at him with steady eyes. I understand. Then let us begin. The lights in the hall dimmed. Maya heard machinery humming to life. Somewhere in the walls, she focused on her breathing, in through the nose, hold for counts, out through the mouth. Whatever was coming, she would face it. She had no other choice. The first test was noise. A sound like thunder exploded through the training hall. Maya felt it in her chest, in her bones, in her teeth. It was loud enough to cause pain, loud enough to trigger every survival instinct in her body. She did not move. Her heart rate spiked. She knew the sensors were watching. She knew they were recording every beat, every breath, every tiny reaction, but she kept her hands flat on the table and focused on her breathing. The noise stopped as suddenly as it began. Maya's ears were ringing. She could barely hear Instructor Keel when he spoke. Interesting, most species flinch at that volume. The human did not move. He sounded disappointed. The second test was light, bright flashes that strobed across the room, changing colors faster than Maya could track. Red, blue, white, green. The patterns were designed to confuse and disorient. They made her stomach turn and her head spin. She closed her eyes and kept breathing. When the lights finally stopped, she opened her eyes to see Krill studying her with cold interest. Still nothing. Perhaps we need something more direct. The third test was temperature. The room suddenly became freezing cold. Maya felt ice forming on the metal table under her fingers. Her breath came out in white clouds. The cold bit into her skin like needles. Then it reversed. The room became burning hot. Sweat dripped down her face. The air felt thick and hard to breathe. Her uniform stuck to her body. She did not move. Humans are adaptable to temperature extremes, Keith noted too. The observers behind the glass, their species survived ice ages and heat waves. On their home world, physical discomfort alone will not break this one. He walked closer to Maya. Let us try something else. A screen lowered from the ceiling. Images began to appear. Maya recognized them immediately. War footage from Earth, battles and bombs and burning cities, the worst moments of human history displayed in high definition. This is what your species does, Keith said. This is your nature, violence and death and destruction. For thousands of years you killed each other over territory, over resources, over ideas. You developed weapons that could destroy your entire planet, and you used them. Maya watched the screen. She had seen these images before. Every human child learned about the wars. It was part of their education. They were taught to remember so they would never repeat the mistakes. 6 billion dead by your own hands, Keith continued. More than the total population of some galactic sectors. Your species is a plague human. You spread death wherever you go. Mia's jaw tightened. The words hurt more than the noise or the lights or the temperature. They hurt because part of her fear they were true, but she did not move. Kale paused the footage on an image of a mushroom cloud rising over a destroyed city. This is what humans are capable of. This is what you really are. Beneath the smiles and the soft words, monsters. Ma spoke for the first time since the test began. That was a long time ago, was it? Cather brought up new images, more recent footage. Human soldiers in combat, human ships firing weapons. Your species still fights. You still kill. The violence is in your blood. It will never go away. Maya looked at the images. She recognized some of them conflicts from the past century, wars fought for various reasons, some good, some bad, all bloody. We fight, she said quietly, but we also stop fighting. We learn, we change. Those images do not show the whole story. There is no other story. There is only the truth. Cather turned off the screen, and the truth is that humans are dangerous. You should never have been allowed into this academy. You should never have been allowed into space. Your species should have been contained on your death world until you finally destroyed yourselves. Maya felt something hot building in her chest. Anger, real anger, the kind she had spent her whole life learning to control. She gripped the edge of the table. The metal was cold against her fingers. Keith noticed his mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Ah, there it is, the famous human rage. I knew it was hiding in there somewhere. I am not angry, Maya said. Her voice was steady, but her grip tightened. Your body says otherwise. Your heart rate is elevated. Your pupils are dilated. Your muscles are tense for combat. He leaned down until his face was inches from hers. You want to hurt me? I can see it. I do not want to hurt anyone. Liar, all humans are liars. You pretend to be peaceful, but inside you are always ready to kill. It is your nature. Maya's fingers dug into the metal. She heard a small creaking sound. The table was bending under her grip. Tell me, human, what would happen if I mentioned your roommate, the little crystal creature who sleeps in the same room as you? How long until you get bored and break her like a toy? The anger flared brighter. Maya felt her whole body tensing. Every instinct screamed at her to stand up to show this clicking insect what a human could really do. She did not move. Or perhaps you have already started grooming her. Humans are good at that. I hear you form false bonds with other species. You make them trust you, then you use them. Is that your plan? Make the Vel think you are friends so you have a pet to play with. The table groaned. Maya looked down and saw that she had bent the reinforced steel edge. Her fingers had left deep impressions in the metal. The room went very quiet. Alarms began to sound behind the observation windows. Maya saw beings reaching for weapons. They thought she was about to attack, and honestly part of her wanted to. Everything said was designed to hurt her. He had found her weakness and pressed it hard. He wanted her to fail. He wanted her to prove that humans were monsters. She could end him in seconds. She knew exactly how to do it. One strike to the throat, another to the base of the skull. His species was fragile. He would go down before anyone could stop her. The thought was so clear, so tempting. Then she thought about James, about her father, about Prism's voice saying good luck, about everyone who believed a human could be more than a weapon. Maya stood up. Slowly the alarms got louder. Weapons were raised behind the glass. Keffel took a step back, his compound eyes widening with something like fear. Maya looked down at the table, then she looked at him. You told me to stay calm, she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. Every being in the room could hear her. I am calm. If Clear's throat I was not calm, I would have broken something that screams. She reached down and picked up the piece of metal she had bent. It weighed maybe 20 lb. She had ripped it free without even noticing. Very carefully, very gently, she set it on the floor. Then she sat back down in her chair and folded her hands on what remained of the table. I am ready to continue the test, she said. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. Then a sound came from behind the observation glass. Someone was clapping. Slowly, deliberately, Maya looked up and saw an enormous being floating behind the window. A vastery. She recognized the species from her studies. They were ancient and wise and rarely left their ocean home worlds. This one must be someone very important. The Vasari was clapping her great fins together, creating a sound like waves hitting a shore. More beings joined in, then more. Soon the observation room was full of applause. Instructor Kethel stood frozen in place, His mandibles hung open. He looked like someone who had just seen the impossible happen. Maya sat quietly and waited for the clapping to stop. She had not failed, but she knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning. The applause faded slowly. Maya remained seated with her hands folded, waiting. She did not trust herself to stand yet. The anger was still there, burning low in her chest, like coals from a fire that had not quite died. The doors to the observation room opened, and the Vastri floated out. She was massive, larger than any being Maya had ever seen in person. Her body was like a whale crossed with something alien and beautiful. Bioluminescent patterns glowed beneath her skin. I am Counselor Deep Mind, Vastri said. Her voice was deep and musical, like singing underwater. I am the director of this academy, and I believe we need to have a conversation. Instructor Keth started to speak. Counselor, the evaluation was not yet. The evaluation is over. Deep Mind did not raise her voice, but something in her tone made Keth go silent. Immediately, you will wait in your office. We will discuss your methods later. Keith's mandibles clicked once, twice, then he bowed his angular head and left the room without another word. Deep Mind floated closer to Maya. Despite her size, her movements were graceful, gentle. You may stand now. Young one, the test is complete. Maya stood slowly. Her legs felt weak. Adrenaline was fading, leaving her tired and shaky. Did I pass? That depends on who you ask. Deep Mind gestured toward the observation room with one great fin. Some of those watching believe you should be expelled immediately. They saw a human tear apart a reinforced steel table with her bare hands. They are frightened, and the others saw something else entirely. They saw a child who was pushed to her breaking point and chose not to break. Deep Mind studied Maya with ancient eyes. That table was designed to withstand species 3 times your size. Engineers told me it was impossible for a human to damage it. You proved them wrong. Maya looked at her hands. They did not look special. Small fingers, short nails, a few calluses from training. I did not mean to break it. I know that is what makes it remarkable. Deep Mind began floating toward a side door. Come, we will talk in private. Maya followed the massive being through corridors she had not seen before. The walls here were decorated with images of different species, all working together, paintings and sculptures celebrating unity and cooperation. It was beautiful in a hopeful way. They entered a large office filled with water tanks and floating plants. Deep Mind settled into a pool that took up half the room. Maya sat in a chair designed for land-dwelling species. The Galactic Council has been debating humanity for years. Deep Mind said, since your species first reached the stars, there have been arguments about what to do with you. Some wanted to welcome you as equals. Others wanted to restrict your movements, limit your technology, keep you contained. Why, Ma? Asked. Fear, simple fear. Deep Mind's patterns pulsed slowly. Your species is unusual. Maya, most intelligent life, evolves on gentle worlds, mild temperatures, abundant resources, easy lives that allow brains to grow without the constant pressure of survival. But Earth is different. Earth is a death world. Maya had heard the term before. It was what the galaxy called planets. Like hers, we survived. You did more than survive. You thrived. You became predators and prey at the same time. You Developed bodies that could run down animals over hours of pursuit. You developed minds that could imagine dangers before they happened and plan ways to avoid them. You became the most adaptable species in known space. That does not sound bad. It is not bad, it is terrifying. Deep Mind leaned closer. Maya, do you understand what you did in that room today? You were subjected to stress levels that would have broken most species. The noise alone would have caused permanent hearing damage to Avalith. The temperature changes would have killed Azrin, and the psychological pressure. She paused. The psychological pressure was designed to trigger a violent response. Keffel pushed every button he could find. He insulted your species. He questioned your relationships. He tried to make you see him as a threat that needed to be eliminated. I know what he was doing. And yet you did not attack him. Your body was ready for combat. Every biological indicator showed a human prepared to kill, but you chose not to. Deep Mind's voice softened. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How impossible it should have been? Maya thought about her father, about all the lessons he had taught her. My dad used to say that the hardest fight is the one you walk away from. Your father sounds wise. He was a soldier. He learned that hard way. Deep Mind was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something unexpected. The footage from today is already spreading. Within a few hours, it will be seen across the galaxy. Billions of beings will watch a human girl tear apart a table and then choose not to tear apart her tormentor. Is that good or bad? Both. Some will see it as proof that humans are dangerous. They will point to the destroyed table and say that your species should never be trusted. They will argue for restrictions and containment, and the others will see something different. They will see a young woman who had every reason to respond with violence and chose peace instead. They will see self-control that most species could never achieve. They will see hope. Maya felt tears prickling at her eyes. She blinked them away. I did not do it for politics. I just did not want to approve him right. I know that is what makes it meaningful. Deep Mind rose slightly in her pool. There is a vote scheduled in the council next month. They will decide whether to classify humans as a restricted species. Your performance today will be entered as evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence that humans can control themselves, that your strength does not make you monsters, that you have the potential to be valuable members of galactic society. Deep Mind's patterns flickered with something like hope. You may have just saved your species from imprisonment. Maya, you should be proud. Maya did not feel proud. She felt exhausted. She felt the weight of everything pressing down on her. One girl, one test, the fate of billions riding on whether she could keep her temper. What happens now? She asked. Now you go back to being a student. You attend classes. You make friends. You learn. Deep Mind smiled, or at least made a gesture that suggested a smile. You have proven yourself today. The rest is up to you. Maya stood and bowed slightly, the way she had been taught to show respect. Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Maya Chen. You have given this old creature something she has not felt in a long time. What is that? Hope for the future. Maya walked back to her room in a daze. The corridors were crowded with students, but this time they did not move away from her. They stared, they whispered, but they did not run. Some clears throat of them even nodded at her as she passed. She reached her door and stepped inside. Prism was there surrounded by other students. Adrian, a tall being covered in soft fur, a creature made of living flame that floated inside a containment sphere. They all went silent when Mia entered. I saw the footage, Prism said. Her crystalline form was trembling. Again, but not from fear, from something else. You broke the table, yes, but you did not break him. No. Prism walked forward until she was standing right in front of Maya, close enough to touch, close enough to shatter. I was wrong about you, Prism said. I was wrong about humans. Mia did not know what to say. The tear she had been holding back finally spilled over. She stood there, crying in front of strangers, too tired to be embarrassed. Prism did something unexpected. She reached out and took Mia's hand. Her crystal fingers were cool and smooth. You should eat something, Prism said, and sleep. You look terrible. Maya laughed through her tears. Thanks, come on. We are going to the dining hall, all of us. Prism gestured to the other students. You are sitting with us tonight. Maya let them lead her out of the room. She was surrounded by beings who had been afraid of her hours ago. Now they walked beside her like friends. It was not everything, but it was more than she had ever expected, and tomorrow she still had to face Instructor K. Thrill again. A week passed, then a month. Maya attended classes and took notes and tried to be a normal student. It was not easy. Everyone knew who she was now. The footage of her evaluation had spread across the galaxy just like Counselor Deep Mind predicted. Maya Chen became a symbol. Some beings hated her for it. She received messages filled with threats and insults. Humans are monsters. You should have been killed. We will never trust your kind. Others loved her for it. You are an inspiration. You give us hope. You prove that strength can be gentle. Maya tried to ignore both. She had work to do. Her relationship with Prism grew stronger. Every day, the Velith stopped being afraid. She started asking questions about Earth, about human culture, about what it felt like to have a heart that beat so fast and blood that ran so hot. Is it exhausting? Prism asked one night. Being ready to fight all the time. Maya thought about it sometimes, but you get used to it. It becomes normal, like breathing. I do not understand how you control it. The urge to act, the need to move. Prism's crystals chimed softly. If I felt what you feel, I would shatter from the pressure. That is why we train. That is why we practice. Maya smiled at her friend. My father used to say that the strongest walls are built one brick at a time. Self-control is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Their friendship drew attention. A human and a Velith living together, studying together, eating together. Some beings thought it was beautiful. Others thought it was dangerous. Maya did not care what they thought. The council vote approached. Maya tried not to think about it, but it was impossible to ignore. The fate of her species would be decided by beings who had never met human. They would look at data and footage and reports and decide whether billions of people deserved freedom or restrictions. Maya focused on what she could control: her studies, her friendships, her daily practice of staying calm. Then Instructor Kethel requested a meeting. Mia stared at the message for a long time. She had not spoken to him since the evaluation. He had continued teaching his class, but he never called on her, never looked at her. It was like she did not exist. Prism found her staring at the message Are you going to go? I do not know. He tried to break you, he said. Terrible things. I know. You do not owe him anything. Maya set down her communicator. Maybe not, but I want to understand. I want to know why he did it. What if it is a trap? Then I will deal with it. Maya stood up and stretched. I am not afraid of him. Prism, I was never afraid of him. I was afraid of what I might do to him. There is a difference. She went to Keith's office that evening. The door was open. He was sitting behind his desk. His angular body folded into a resting position. He looked smaller than she remembered. Older human. Come. Maya entered and stood before his desk. She did not sit down. You wanted to see me? Yes. Keffel's mandibles clicked slowly. I owe you an explanation. You do not owe me anything. I do. He rose from his seat and walked to a window that looked out at the stars. Do you know the history of my species? Human. Some of it. The germ evolved on a cold world. You are logical, disciplined. You do not show emotion. We were nearly destroyed 40 years ago. His voice was quiet. Species called the Wreath attacked our colonies. They wanted our resources. They did not care that we were people. They killed millions of us, burned our cities, slaughtered our children. Maya was silent. She had not known this. The Galactic Council debated for months about whether to intervene. They weighed costs and benefits. They discussed strategy and politics. Meanwhile, my people died. Kale turned to face her. Then a human ship arrived. What? A cargo vessel, small, unarmed. The captain was a woman named Sarah Cole. She received a distress signal and decided to help. No orders, no profit, no logical reason. She simply decided that strangers were worth saving. He walked closer to Maya. Her ship flew into a war zone. She and her crew loaded as many survivors as they could carry. When the Wreath tried to board her ship, the humans fought them with tools and fists. 3 humans died protecting my people, strangers they had never met. Maya thought about what Prism had told her. The story from the files. It was real. Sarah Cole saved 217 that day, including 24 children, including my sister. KL's voice cracked slightly. I was off-world when it happened. I did not know until later. But I have never forgotten what humans did for us. Then why? Ma asked. Why did you try so hard to break me? Because the council has short memories. Keel returned to his desk and sat down heavily. They remember human wars. They remember human violence. They forget human kindness. They forget Sarah Cole. I still do not understand. The evaluation was not sanctioned by the Academy. I designed it myself. I made it harder than any test we have ever given. I pushed you to your absolute limit. He looked at her with compound eyes that seemed almost warm. I knew you would not break. I had read your file. I understood what kind of human you were. I needed the council to see it too. Maya felt the floor shift beneath her feet. You were trying to help me. I was trying to help everyone. The council was going to vote for restrictions. The evidence against humanity was overwhelming. Wars, violence, death, all the terrible things your species has done. I needed evidence of what your species could be. He gestured at her. I needed you. You could have told me. Would you have believed me? Would you have performed the same if you knew I was on your side? Krail clicked his mandibles. Humans are many things, but you are not good actors. Your strength came from real struggle, real choice, real restraint. The council needed to see that. Maya stood in silence for a long time. The anger she had carried for weeks was draining away, replaced by something more complicated. Understanding, maybe even gratitude. The vote is tomorrow, Cathil said. I have submitted your evaluation footage as evidence. Other instructors have submitted testimonies about your behavior since then. Counselor DeepMind has spoken to every council member. Personally, will it be enough? I do not know, but we have given you the best chance possible. He stood and walked around his desk until he was standing in front of her. I am sorry for the things I said. I did not mean them. I needed to find your limits and I found them. You are remarkable, Maya Chen. Maya looked up at the instructor who had tormented her, who had called her species monsters, who had pushed her harder than anyone ever had. Thank you, she said, for everything. Keth made a sound that might have been a laugh. Thank me if the vote goes our way. Until then we wait. The vote happened the next day. Maya sat with Prism and her other friends in the common room watching the broadcast. Beings from across the galaxy were debating her species. Some spoke with fear, some spoke with hope. All of them referenced the footage of a small human girl breaking a table and choosing not to break her tormentor. The final vote was not unanimous. 37 in favor of restrictions, 42 against. Humanity remained free. Maya cried when the results were announced. Prism held her hand. Around them, students from a dozen species cheered and embraced. It felt like the beginning of something new. 3 months later, Maya started teaching a voluntary class. She called it Applied Emotional Regulation. It was designed for students from high-stress worlds who struggled with the same challenges she faced. The class became the most popular elective in the academy within weeks. Prism sat in the front row every session, taking careful notes. On the first day of the new semester, Maya walked into the arrivals gate to greet a new student. He was human, young, barely 15. He had come from a colony on a high-gravity moon, and he looked terrified. Maya remembered feeling exactly the same way. She walked up to him and offered her hand. Welcome to the academy. I am Maya. The boy stared at her. You are the one from the videos. The one who broke the table. That is me. Everyone says you almost killed an instructor. Maya smiled. I did not almost kill anyone. I broke some furniture. There's a difference. She gestured for him to follow her. Come on. First day is always the hardest, but you will be fine. How do you know? Because you are human. We are stronger than we look. She put a hand on his shoulder. Just remember the most important rule. What is that? Maya grinned. Break the table, not the instructor. The boy laughed, surprised. Around them, students of every species were watching. Not with fear, not with suspicion, with something that looked almost like respect. Maya led him into the academy. Above them, the stars shone bright with possibility. Humanity had proven itself. Once, they would prove themselves again. And again. Not through conquest, not through war, through the hardest victory of all, the choice to be gentle when being gentle cost everything. That was what made them human. That was what made them strong, and that was only the beginning.